Alright, so I figured it was time I did another food review. So today we're going to be making something really special. We're going to do the America sandwich. I call it that because I went to a trip to Michigan and apparently they're allowed to serve far too much bacon there. I had like 5 pieces out of the look. This isn't this is how much bacon they give you, right? Let me take all this jam out of here because it's really good. But anyways, they give you this much bacon on a plate. But there's I couldn't eat it all, obviously. Nobody can eat all that bacon. Look at this. That's at least a hog and a half. I mean, look at that. It's ridiculous. And to make the sandwich, what you're gonna need is you're gonna need just some standard bread, just regular white bread. Maybe some sesame, I like that on it. Works great. So yeah, first we're gonna throw that in the toaster. Just your ordinary, nothing special, everyday toaster. I like to set it for 2 minutes just so that it's nice and crisp. Make sure it's plugged in first, obviously, because you don't want your bread to be too soft, but you also don't want it to be completely burnt. You gotta find a healthy medium, you know what I mean? Okay, so we'll leave those guys in there for 2 minutes, and we'll start on our next thing, which we're making a bacon tomato sandwich, right? But it's the American sandwich, so what you gotta do is be like America and go big, see? Whether it be attacking the biggest oil sands wherever you can find them, or driving cars with the biggest engines, it's American. So you gotta have a big tomato with that. All right, so I don't want to use the whole tomato because that's just too much. Wow. Cling wrap is not cooperating. There we go. We'll put it back like this. Now we don't need any. We're not trying to do any dainty slices here. You know, this is the American sandwich. We're putting thick slices on there. See my dog. He knows a good sandwich, so he comes running. Gotta saw this tomato. Okay. If you're wondering, it's called a beefsteak tomato. I'm not sure why it's called a beefsteak tomato, as beefsteak tomatoes are not served necessarily with beef. Not even beef of the steak variety. So it's kind of a strange name they've given it, but it is called a beefsteak tomato. I don't believe there was any beef or steak included in the beefsteak tomato. It really shouldn't be, considering it's a vegetable. Perhaps it's genetically modified. Really, I don't know. Just wrap this up. Wrap it up. Alright. Let me throw this back in the fridge. And I'll show you the consistency I like to have on my bread. Just a nice golden brown. Looks good, don't you think? I use Villaggio bread because it tends to hold its moisture better when toasting, and it's more flavorful. Now we're going to be throwing the bacon in the microwave, so I suppose we'll take a second plate. Just because I don't like having the bacon grease go all over my bread. I feel like that would be kind of problematic, so let's move this onto here. Okay. So I'll kind of unravel some of this bacon. We gotta make sure you have enough, you know? You gotta, or this is gonna be a thick sandwich. I think that's good. Okay, so as you can see, a fair amount of bacon. And we'll pop that in the microwave for around 45 seconds. Okay, now let's take a good look. Let's give a view from the microwave for a second. So as you can see, there it is. I wish you could smell it because it smells absolutely incredible. I mean, about as good as animals' flesh can smell, I'm sure. Just a shout out to all you vegan people out there. I'm gonna get my video flagged now because it said I mentioned the fact that food actually comes from animals. Yeah, that was a lie. I'm sorry. It may offend you. It may make this a lot less appetizing to know that Porky Pig was running around in a field one day. But it's just a fact of life that you have to eat. And energy comes from the sun, right? The energy from the sun goes into plants. Animals eat those plants. And animals eat other animals to get that energy. So really, we're just using the sun's energy through that other animal we ate. It's just a transfer of energy that would have eventually gone away and wasted away anyways when the animal would naturally die. So, get off your high horse. It's not like we're eating horse. And just eat your food. But really though, I'm just kidding because the positive fact of being a vegan, in my opinion, the best portion of it, aside from health benefits and saving animals, is actually quite the opposite. It's the not having to use animals for your food, because if you don't know this, cows actually produce a ton of methane, which means that by farming cows, you're concentrating a ton of cows in one place, releasing a ton of methane, and what you're basically doing is you're causing global warming from cow shit. So yeah, it's kind of shitty, don't you think? Let's throw this away. I know I'm making a lot of steps just to throw some bacon in the fridge, and jeez. Alright. Okay, so what we have here is just a pair of towers. It's quite wonderfully plated, to be honest. It's completely on accident, but it looks appetizing. It looks pretty delicious. Now, an alternate ingredient that I'm not going to be putting in there because I value my colon and my arteries. But you could also, if you wanted, I took it out just for that. You could put some mayonnaise on there. It would probably taste amazing, but I'll be regretting this as it is. I don't want to be putting mayonnaise on there too. I mean, it wouldn't be good. It would be a bad choice in the long run. Now, I'll show you how to, oh, fuck. Alright. Pardon my language. There goes the... Here we go. Okay. Okay, the bacon will stay on there. So, see that giant Tower of America sandwich? You gotta crush it down like oppression in the United States. There we go. Alright, and then... You know what? I was gonna warm up some corn with this, but I'm probably just gonna throw it back. Alright, here we go. Let me move camera back. That looks good. Alright, so I just gotta put it into perspective where you can really see the sandwich. Alright, so we'll take a look. A lot of bacon, a lot of tomato. Definitely not healthy for you, but it's gonna be amazing. Very smoky. It doesn't hold together great. I mean, it's not the most graceful looking thing, but really, it tastes pretty awesome. A lot of smoky flavor, goes well with the toast. The tomato contrasts it well because everything else is pretty warm, but the tomato is cold. Rather than being smoky, it's how do you really describe the flavor of a tomato? I don't know. It's fresh versus smoky, and kind of what happens is you get a little bit of contrast, and it's good. It's nice. I mean, to put it simply, the same grease from this bacon is probably still going to be in my body for at least another 5 years. From 5 to 20 years probably of grease still being in my body, but it is delicious. I mean, whether or not it's worth the sacrifice is hard to say, but it's good. I mean, in summary, sandwich is delicious. Tastes great. A lot of sacrifice is necessary. I mean, it's gonna probably make my cholesterol worse. It's probably gonna instead of giving me more energy, more likely to cause me to lose energy throughout the day, actually, because my body's gonna need to spend more time burning this than actually achieving anything. So really, what's happening here is you're giving up a lot for something nice. I think that's really the moral of the story with bacon and American portions. See, American portions are gonna bring in tourists. You're probably gonna sell a lot more. You're gonna get things done, you know. And really, it's much like the American budget, because the country of America, they're what, $22 trillion in debt, but in turn, all this debt has led to some decent things. I mean, they're a military superpower. They have a pretty high gross domestic profit or whatever. They make a lot of money. They the average person in America seems to have a fair bit more money than in other countries around the world. Not that that's a fair statement in some cases, because they have not that I disapprove of the way they run things, but it's not entirely great, especially with the way they handle healthcare. But with a lot of sacrifice, you get something pretty great, you know? So that's what this bacon sandwich is. It's American. It's America. It's the America sandwich. That's what